Good morning, UPB. It is Monday. One day before the start of October is the last day of the month, and look at stock futures. Look at the gap down we're going to see here for the S&P 500 ETF, the SPY. It's down significantly over 0.75%. Oh no, it's a government shutdown. Going to spook investors. Guess what? Great buying opportunity. Let's go to the longer term chart for the S&P 500, the SPY. Let's go back to a one-year chart. And let's look what's happened for every negative piece that the media puts out. Oh my goodness. Remember right around Christmas time, just after Christmas, just before New Year's, government shutdown. Oh no, the sequester. Everything's going to screech to a grinding halt. Stocks plummeted. And then what happened? Never look back, folks. That was one of the best buying opportunities of the year. Look at that candle, the gap up. Continued to new all-time highs just a little while ago. Again, we put in a beautiful pattern here that I still believe some sort of a cup and handle continuation pattern. We're going to see a move to the upside to new all-time highs. So what is the action today telling you, folks? It's telling you stocks are heading higher. Even though we're down 0.75%, the entire economy is coming to a screeching, grinding halt as the government plays Russian roulette with the debt ceiling. We've heard this before, the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling. Come on. This is what the debt ceiling did the last time. What do you think is going to happen this time? We've been pulling back. We're going to see a nice spike. Once this gets resolved, because nobody wants to be on the hook for halting all government activity. It's not going to happen. So anyway, let's move on. Just the S&P 500, that's my outlook for the week. Over 170, we're going to see a nice move higher. We do have earnings out this week. We have really two earnings reports that could be an optionable trade. You have Diamond Foods, which has been continuing to the upside. Look at this. Priced for bankruptcy this time about 11 months ago, and now moving up to 52-week highs. Beautiful. So you have to stay on the side of the trend. I talked about it last week when I did my video last week. I talked about Bed Bath & Beyond. Look at the continuation patterns for earnings, and then also Nike. Nike hit new all-time highs last week. Look at that gap up. And look at the long-term chart. You got to stay with the trend. The trend is your friend. Continue to the upside. So you got to stick with that. Same with DMND. DMND. It's kind of like one of those where you say it over and over. Look at that. Formerly a $95 stock. Yeah, I can speak. It's early in the morning, folks. Haven't had my coffee yet. By the way, I drink decaf, so I don't think it matters anyway. So we have, back in 2012, look at the stock, $95. There's a lot of room to go to the upside here. We could just be at the early stages of a rally for DMD back up to $50. So again, earnings report could see a big spike higher. That's after the bell today. So if you want to trade this stock for its earnings report, you got to do it today. Today. And then finally, I think we have Monsanto. Yes, Wednesday, before the bell. Monsanto, which has been on consolidating, broke above former resistance at 104, broke above it, so 105.61. Something else to keep in mind if you look at the U.S. dollar index. This is one of these stocks, commodity-based stock. For instance, you look at Monsanto, Mosaic, Potash, as stocks that really are going to benefit as the dollar starts to weaken like it did in 2008. And I'll go back in time and I'll show you. Go into my little time machine, seeing 2008 when we hit all-time highs. That was when oil was soaring to all-time highs as well. Look at that. See that? And now we're consolidating. And you can look at stocks like Moss and Pot. See? Breaking out to all-time highs then. So that's something we could see going forward in the future when inflation starts to ramp up. But in spite of that, Monsanto has been doing pretty well, and it's slowly melting up. Who was it? One of those big hedge fund guys took a position. Was it Daniel Loeb? Daniel Loeb, I think it was, took a position in the stock. Said it was undervalued, and the stock has been higher ever since. Let's go on to some other stocks I'm looking at. I talked about this last Monday. The ticker symbol is UNXL. It's Unipixel. The stock has been, let me pull in a little closer because that's not really doing the chart justice. There we go. And you see this purple line I've been talking about acting as support. Support, and boom, we rocketed higher last week. Rocket Man. I was in the 1650 calls, put them in my private Twitter at 40 cents on Monday. They went to almost $3, $2.90. That's a big gain. Big gain. And I rolled some of those profits into the 2050 calls, which will be up here. So I'm looking for a move up to 2050. Well, not just 2050, beyond that. It's like Star Trek. To 2050 and beyond. No, that's Buzz Lightyear. That's my investment philosophy. Yes, I use Buzz Lightyear. So 2050 and beyond. That's what we're looking for. UNXL this week and another one. By the way, go to the blog at optionmillionaires.com. Wrote a nice little piece about it. 54% of the float, meaning the shares that are out there, have been sold short. So to me, that artificially manipulates the price of the stock lower, meaning they've borrowed the stock, they've sold it into the marketplace. That's almost increasing the amount of shares. But guess what? When the stock starts to rise in value, they're going to have to cover. That's going to increase the buying pressure. And then on top of that, throughout this whole downtrend that we saw, this was all short sellers. Okay, so when there's nobody selling stock, guess what happens? The stock rallies in value because the shorts are trying to cover. People are actually buying the stock, and there's no one selling it anymore. The shorts have already sold 54% of the stock short. So anyway, Unip is setting up for a big short squeeze, as is Angies List. Angies List. Nobody likes this stock. Everybody hates it. Go to Seeking Alpha. Type in ANGI. Every single piece on Seeking Alpha is negative. It's going to collapse. This is a garbage. Why Angies List is heading to zero? Why it's headed from... This stock has 1 month until it sees a liquidity crisis. Here we are, folks. Here we are, ready to break out to the upside and continue to defy all of those bears who sat down just like the NYU professor talking about Tesla having a value under $100. The guy knows nothing about stocks. You can sit down with a calculator and make the case for any stock in this market being worth 50% less than what it is right now. 50% or more. Angie's List, same thing. Make the case. Oh, negative cash flow. They're spending $80 per subscriber. This stock is headed for the toilet bowl. Guess what? 0% interest rate policy from the Federal Reserve. Central banks globally printing money like it's a printing money fest. I mean, they're not even wearing clothes these days. They're just covered in dollars, yen, pound, and euros. So let's look at a stock like this. This is one of those social media stocks, kind of a technology stock, internet stock. We're in a bubble, no doubt about it. It's going to pop at some point. But guess what? Do you want to keep fighting the trend and losing money, or do you want to be on the team that's making money? The bulls. The bulls have been making money on the short, the stocks that have been heavily shorted all since 2007, 2008. Okay, every single stock, Tesla, Netflix, just run the list. Angie's List is next. Zillow. How about Zillow? Let's look at Zillow real quick. This is a similar type subscription-based stock nobody believed in back here. Similar time. We had a negative piece come out, stock dropped, never looked back, up 400% from that point. That's what Angie's List, to me, is going to do. I'm going to be conservative and just looking for a break of all-time highs coming within the next couple weeks and a month. And then ultimately, it's going to start rocketing higher. Okay, revenues are up 60% quarter over quarter. Just they're growing the subscribers at a 100% clip year over year. So I don't know. Angie's List, come on, let's do this. All right, that's it. UPB here. So stocks are going to rally off their lows here. The government's not going to shut down, and we're going to see gains again. And ultimately, in the next couple weeks, stocks are going to move back up higher. SPY will be over 170, and we'll be well on our way. UPB here from OptionMillionaires.com. Hope everyone has a great trading day. Good.